Welcome back to today's episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm your host, Mang, as always, my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Love it. What we got today? We're talking about decisions to leave a job. I know it's something that we all think about, probably a lot. I'm gonna say I've done it a couple of times, and sometimes you want to, sometimes you're like, I need to like take a serious look at what's best for your long-term future. So that's what we're diving into today. Um, we find ourselves, facing difficult decisions that require us to reevaluate our current jobs and where we're at. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing 6 factors to consider when contemplating or thinking about moving on to a new opportunity or a new job. So key, key number one,
Hmm.
what you got?
Key number one, does it align with your long-term goals? So it's really easy to get caught up in like the day-to-day, your 9 to 5, and lose sight of your goals and lose sight of the fact or considering the fact if what you're doing now is even conducive to your long-term goals. So if you feel like you're getting stuck and like there's no correlation or no similarities between where you ultimately want to be in the long run and what you're doing now, then that may be a reason to um, consider a new job, look for a new opportunity that is in more alignment with your long term goals, because you don't want to spend 10 years at a job and you're at the same place, or you're leveling up, but it's not in the way that you ideally would like it to.
Yeah, for sure. I think also it's cool if you could have those conversations with your higher ups or your supervisors so that they know what you're trying to achieve so that they can help build an environment um to help you get to where you're trying to get to. Because I think if you have an idea of one thing and your boss or supervisor has another idea of what they want you to do, then it can lead to miscommunication, can lead to dissatisfaction, can lead to a lot of things that could be avoided if that conversation had been had. So I thought that was something that was cool. My new boss, she asked me a bunch of questions based on like my career and what I wanted to get out of it. Like one 3 month goal, 6 month goals, 1 year, 5 year goals, like what would a career trajectory or pathway look like. And it's something that I was like, oh snap, I should really start thinking about this. And so I just I got some paper and just wrote down all my answers to her questions, and then we talked about it and I gave her the paper. And so I was like, it was cool that, she got to hear what I'm thinking, what I want to do, where my head's at right now. And, she was like, yeah, we're gonna work towards making sure that you get what you need in terms of some of the other things that we're gonna talk about in this episode too. But it was just cool to have that support from the jump.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think yes, you're an employee, but you're also like it's a mutually exclusive relationship whenever you're in a job. So you should benefit your job, but they should also benefit your life as well. So having
Hmm.
that conversation, I think makes things seamless on either side. You want to get into the
Hmm.
second one?
Sure. Work-life balance. You think about, we spend a lot of time at work now or on the computer screen working from home. There's things that you enjoy. There's things that we neglect, whether it's sports, whether it's brunch, whether it's, hanging out at the beach, whether it's whatever it may be, whatever you enjoy, we tend to neglect those fun times and just focus on the work. And then you get home tired, you get home with not a lot of energy. You might be missing meals, might not be taking care of yourself. And I think it's important to, you need a job to, handle the day-to-day things, but you also need the extracurriculars to balance out those day-to-days and give your mind the time to refresh and keep yourself energized. So work-life balance, I think, is something to pay attention to and make sure that you're giving yourself time to, make sure you're pouring into yourself.
Yeah, and I think that that also goes along with the first one, being in alignment with your long-term goals, because like we talked about in the previous episode, like there's not really a true balance. It's more so your priorities and what you want to put your time into. But if you're going to work and you're clocking out and then still doing work at home, you're not going to have time to do the things that you truly want to do outside of work, and then that can lead to the dissatisfaction. I know me personally, whenever I have to do a lot of stuff that I don't enjoy outside of work, I am so out of it, and I'm like, this can't be my life. So having that work life balance, I think, keeps people engaged, and it keeps like people actually wanting to do their job when it's time. But if you don't have that separation between like work and other extracurricular things, you're gonna start feeling burnt out. And I think that's a lot of the PT profession.
Hmm. Facts. Facts.
So the third key, eyes being set on new opportunities. So you may be going through your day to day and feeling like you want to experience a new role and you want like something totally new, which is totally fine. I think that it's normal for humans to want new things, but I think when you are feeling that way, you really need to like sit down and analyze why you're feeling that way and what you're actually looking for instead of just having like shiny object syndrome, because you don't want to leave a job and go to the same job somewhere else just to say it's new. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So really sitting down and analyzing like what do I actually want, like what's causing me to feel this way is going to be important for you to actually make a decision as opposed to just jumping ship because you want something fresh, because then you're just gonna keep running into that feeling.
Hmm. That's what I think is also important to like either write down what you're looking at, whether it's a new job in a stay in the same field or a different field or a new opportunity, like the pros and cons, and like really take the emotion out of it and go about trying to figure out, all right, take a look at where you're at right now and what you're getting out of your current place and what does it look like if you go to the new place? Is it give you something else that you didn't have earlier, or is it kind of going to be the same thing, just maybe an increased pay? Is that worth it to you? Is the increased pay worth it to be doing the same thing? For some people it is, for some people it's not. But for me, when I was going through my process of looking through new jobs, it was cool. I figured out cities I wanted to live in. I figured out where I'd be cool going with, and then start talking to people, and you're like, all right, what are they? What is their mission? What are they offering? Do I see myself fitting in with this team? Can I see myself growing here, learning here? And really just taking the time to ask questions and other people and really think about trying to take the emotion out of it. Like, yeah, I want to live in Cali, but is it the right move for me, or do I need to stay here and figure out where, where then is there another opportunity that's better? Um, so I think just trying to sit down and think about and like actually take the time to think about like, is this really setting me up to have a good work-life balance or aligning with my long-term goals, or is it just, getting me extra bread, but it's not gonna help me towards anything else?
Yeah. And I think that goes into the next one as well. So consider, if you're considering a new job, like does it have opportunities for growth? Like do you just want to, so like for example with PT, do you just want to continue treating? I think as you age, you might not want to be treating 40 hours a week. You might want to get into some like admin roles or developing like educational opportunities, things like that. That's all important, especially when you're considering going to another place that you already have experience. So really determining like what do you ultimately want to do, and is that opportunity there in the place you're considering?
Hmm. It's like, can it be set up for you, or can you create it? Like, if it depends, because if you're like 20 years in the game, you all of a sudden you want to decide to, get into online games so you have more space. Can your current place support that? Can you create something to also help the company, but then help your mission as well? So then you can get less hours in the clinic or whatever it may be. Just as it gives, do you have avenues that you can go to get to your end goals? Number five, interactions with your team. I think enjoying who you work with and having fun at work, I think it makes it a lot easier versus going to some place where you hate to be or you don't like the energy, you don't like the vibes. Um, it's crazy, like you don't really think about it, but if you're happy with your team, then I think it just leads to more fulfilling, or you feel more fulfilled, you feel more energized when you're working with people, when you're talking to people. And when you go home, you're like, you have stories that you can remember, conversations you can remember that are not gonna leave you for a while. Like those will be like staples in your day, staples in your years that you can look back on and be like, yeah, we really had a good time. I love the people that I was around. They allowed me to be myself. I felt comfortable. They felt comfortable with me. Like it's a two-way thing. But I think the interactions that you have with your team and feeling like you're a part of it and not an outsider, I think is huge.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And also from a like even like a patient care perspective, like people like your clients that you're working with, they pick up on it too and they feed off that energy. So having that environment where everybody feels comfortable and everybody is like having a good time, everybody's there for the same goal makes a big difference. Like when I was working between two different locations, I wouldn't say I didn't like my coworkers at the other spot. I just really liked my coworkers at the spot I started at. So although that's a longer commute, I am now back there full time. And part of that reason is I just like the environment there. And I feel more comfortable there. So that could play a role in your switch a job. Can you repeat that? My headphone died. One more time.
Yeah. What you got for the last one?
Oh, pay. Oh, I have a lot for pay. Not playing. I don't have a lot, but I think that pay means a lot. I really dislike when people say like, "Oh, it's not about the money." Yes, it is about the money. Like we're in a time where you need to have money to do simple things like go like just to breathe outside. It costs money. Like gas is crazy. Cost of living is crazy. And if you are in a position where you don't feel like you're getting paid or compensated as you should, I don't think there's anything wrong with going to other opportunity if they're paying you more. If that's what you value, that's what your values are, then there's nothing wrong with that. I think that like pay makes a plays a big role in your decision making in anything in life. Money is a factor that we can't ignore.
No, I agree 100%. I think you gotta look at, especially with, like you said, everything is going up right now, and you have to find a way to survive and make ends meet. And if something is cutting it close, if you're month to month and you're like, I got like $10 to my name at the end of the month, like you can't really, you ain't really gonna go out to a club, you ain't gonna go out to brunch, like you're not gonna do anything because you know that if you if you overspend on this month, then you can't do nothing next month. You know what I mean? So it's out the way to live for not for everybody. Like you don't want to do that for I understand like grinding and stuff, like grinding, putting the hours like while your responsibilities are low. But when you got to start thinking about other relationships, like family, kids, your mom and dad, and like taking care of them, then you're like, then you got to start considering, all right, where can I get extra money to make sure that I can take care of the people that are important to me, or to the things that are important to you, whether they're people or they're communities or organizations, whatever it may be. But we can't ignore that pay, because you got to make sure that you're able to fulfill your needs, but also you know give to the other side of things too, and not just the stuff you got to spend, but the stuff that you can invest in as well.
Yeah, and also I don't know. I just feel like nobody wants to be working until they're 65. Like nobody genuinely wants to do that shit, in my opinion. So the
Hmm.
more money you can make now, the better, and the better you are with your money now, and like take the right steps, the better you'll set yourself up to be when you get older. And if you're in healthcare and you're in like a laborious job, I consider PT to be taxing both mentally and physically if you're in ortho. Um, you don't want to be doing that when you're older. I don't want to be doing that when I'm older. So I think pay is a big factor.
Good. I think that's a appropriate place to end it. Take this time. I would say, just to say this as the last thing, I would say take the time to, whether it's on a piece of paper, paper and pencil, write down what you want. Like outline what you want your next year to be like, 5 years to be like. Maybe if 5 years is too far, 5 years is too far, but outline what you're looking for, what you want to get out of, the next year, and then start making decisions to that align with the things that you're trying to get to at the end of the day. And then when you accomplish them, do the same thing again. And now your goals are just bigger because you already accomplished what you said you was going to do a year ago. So just take the time, unplug the phone, put it on D&D, and like take the time to create your roadmap to where you're trying to get to.
Preacher Mang, you heard him. We'll catch you on the next episode.
All right, later, y'all.
Later.